Hi, I'm Ed Snidecki, and welcome to the Heritage Report. Today, we will be reading Heritage Brief 22, The Great Debate. Like Christianity, science has a history of almost constant persecution from the institutions and governments that claimed dominion over it. With the birth of the American Republic and its devotion to liberty, threatened scientists found a haven in America just as the persecuted Christians had. Christianity and science in America were good friends for most of our history, as they both thrived where there was liberty. True science and true Christianity should be best friends. In their purest form, both are seekers of truth. In history, true Christians and true scientists were not only good friends, but were often the same person, such as Newton. A bitter rift developed between Christianity and science in America during the 1800s, sparked by the famous Scopes trial. And this rift needs to be healed. There are encouraging signs that it is. We cannot fully understand American history without understanding both Christianity and science. Both religion and science have often been perverted by political and other agendas forced on them, and they both try to force their agendas on each other at times. Because both need freedom to thrive, it is a recommitment to truth and liberty that is drawing the truth in both camps back together. Virtually every group has some extreme people in it. Some of the most devastating deceptions in history began with the tendency to judge people or groups by their extreme elements. This is the deception that has caused increasing trouble in our times. In perhaps every people group, most are not like the extremes that are found in them. Those devoted to pure science and those devoted to pure Christianity are compelled by a love for the truth. The deeper this love for the truth is, the more it will compel us to go beyond the superficial and therefore not judge others by what is superficial. When we get past the surface, we will often find that we agree on more than we disagree on. It has been one of the greatest tragedies in human history for people to agree on almost everything, but divide over the little they disagree on. However, the immature or insecure will often be threatened by those who do not absolutely agree with them on everything. Some of the extreme perceptions we have of others can also come from judging them by a small part of their life, even if it were an aberration and not normal for them. For example, Einstein is often spoken of having been an atheist. That was true when he was young, but he came to believe in a creator when he observed Hubble's discovery of the red shift. This proved an expanding universe, and the brilliant physicist he knew immediately this meant there had to be a beginning at a single point in time. He knew this meant there had to be a creator. That Einstein ever concluded who the creator was is debatable, but some of his descriptions of what he considered the creator to be, like the parallels to descriptions of God in the scriptures. His life confirms the scripture that says God is clearly seen in the things that are made. See Romans 1:20. The second law of thermodynamics is a law of physics, not theory. There is a major difference between a law and a theory in science. A law has been proven beyond a reasonable doubt, but a theory is still considered an opinion. With the second law of thermodynamics, there has never been an observed event to challenge it. To the consternation of pseudoscientists, which are those who only accept as fact what agrees with their predetermined positions, prejudices, or biases, this law of physics proves that there is a creator. The second law of thermodynamics is also referred to as the law of entropy. It states that all nature trends toward disorder, not order, unless acted upon by an outside intelligent source. By this, we can conclude that if there is any order in the universe, any synthesis, then it is caused by an outside intelligent source. Like the term or not, this means a creator. This law is also an obvious disproof of the theory of evolution, which requires an almost infinite number of random events to have happened by accident, not by an outside intelligent source. In perfect sequence and timing, and instead of creating chaos, it resulted in order and synthesis. Not even one such event is possible according to the basic laws of physics, much less the gazillions required by the theory of evolution to have produced life. As one scientist put it, it is more likely for a tornado to hit a junkyard and leave behind a perfectly built 747 jumbo jet than for random accidents, as the theory of evolution requires, resulting in a single strand of DNA. The odds that complexity of life would be possible through random accidents defy all mathematical possibilities and reason. However, is it fair to judge all science by this one foolish theory? How can we not marvel at the extraordinary accomplishments of science and its benefits to us, even if some do hold to this extreme aberration? So why do so many scientists hold to this theory of evolution and even teach it as if it were fact? Just as there is fake news, there is fake science. There are fakes in just about every other discipline or school of thought also, just as we are warned about fake brethren or fake Christians. To find truth, we must learn to discern between the true and the false. Christianity is still digging out of a deep corruption and darkness that resulted from the politically skillful usurping of the authority from the true leaders centuries ago. The same has happened in science, with the true scientists being displaced by those with other agendas. Just as it took great champions of truth to help Christianity dig out of this, the same is true of science, and there are such champions in science. To learn the lessons of history, we must understand this conflict both within and between religion, science, government, and powerful institutions. A main goal for this study is to help illuminate these and the consequences of them in shaping our nation in our time. The fake is not driven by the pursuit of truth as much as to establish predetermined agendas. Fake news has combined with fake science to dominate institutions, but this does not negate the fact that there are some honest and true media and true science, just as there are true Christians even through institutional Christianity, even though it is often dominated by those who are not true. Jesus spoke of a time when the wheat and the tares will be separated from one another. Tares look a lot like wheat, but are noxious instead of nutritious. This seems to be a perfect metaphor for what is starting to happen in our time. An exposure and separation of the true from the false. As both the wheat and the tares become more apparent, we can expect more conflict between them. But this is just part of the process. We know that truth is stronger than any lie, and the truth will ultimately prevail. The problem is not to find the answer, it's to face the answer. Terence McKenna. For the scientist who has lived by faith in the power of reason, the story ends like a bad dream. He has scaled the mountains of ignorance. He is about to conquer the highest peak. As he pulls himself over the final rock, he is greeted by a band of theologians who have been sitting there for centuries. Robert Jastrow. Thanks for listening today to Heritage Brief 22, The Great Debate. To order copies of this and other Heritage Briefs, visit Morningstar Books and Resources online at store.morningstarministries.org.